Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany. Welcome to Randomness, where we talk about a little bit of everything, the deep, the weird, and the real. So take a breath, open your mind, and let's get into it. All right, guys, today we're going to talk about something that everyone has dealt with at some point in time, that confusing space where you're interested in someone, but you're not quite sure if you should actually pursue it. You know what I mean, right? It's not the person who makes your heart race the second you see them, but it's also not someone you're completely uninterested in. It's that middle ground where you're like, I could see this going somewhere, maybe, but also maybe not. And you're stuck trying to figure out if you should invest your time and energy and emotional vulnerability into seeing where this goes. I mean, this is such a real dilemma because, on one hand, some of the best relationships start slowly. Sometimes people grow on you. But on the other hand, life is short and you don't want to waste months or years with someone who's fundamentally not right for you just because they were nice and available. So today we're going to work through this together. We'll talk about what to actually pay attention to, how to sort through your feelings, and how to make a decision that feels right for you. So let's get into it. First, let's just acknowledge that this uncertain feeling is completely normal and actually pretty common. Despite what movies tell us, not every great relationship starts with fireworks and instant certainty. There are so many reasons you might feel unsure. Maybe you're attracted to them, but don't know if you're attracted. Maybe you get along great as friends, but you're not sure about romantic chemistry. Maybe they check a lot of boxes on paper, but something feels off. Or maybe you're just gun shy from past relationships and you're having trouble trusting your judgment. And here's what I want to say right off the bat. Uncertainty doesn't automatically mean no, but it also doesn't automatically mean yes. The key is figuring out what kind of uncertainty you're dealing with. There's the uncertainty that comes from not knowing someone well enough yet. That's natural and usually resolves itself with time. Then there's the uncertainty that comes from ignoring red flags or trying to talk yourself into something that doesn't feel right. That's the kind we need to pay closer attention to. Okay, so let's start with the positive stuff. What are the signs that someone might actually be worth pursuing, even if you're not head over heels certain yet? First up, do you feel comfortable being yourself around them? This is huge. It can be weird, honest, share your real opinions, and show up as your actual self without constantly curating or performing. That's a really good sign. The best relationships are the ones where you can just exist, where you're not exhausted from trying to be the right version of yourself. Second, do they make you feel good about yourself? Not in a superficial ego boost way, but like they see good things in you. Healthy relationships should add to your life, not make you question your worth. Third, can you communicate with them? Even early on, you should be able to have real conversations, not just surface level stuff. What did I just say? Not just surface level stuff, but discussions where you both listen, ask questions, and actually seem interested in understanding each other. If you're already struggling to talk about basic things or finding that they dismiss your feelings, that's not a great foundation. Fourth, do they show consistency? This one's important. Are they reliable? Do they follow through on what they say they will do? You don't need grand gestures, but you do need someone who shows up when they say they will and treats you with basic respect and consideration. Fifth, do you share core values? Now, you don't have to agree on everything, obviously, but on the big stuff, how you treat people, what you want out of life, your fundamental worldview, there should be at least some alignment. If your core values are fundamentally incompatible, attraction alone won't sustain a relationship long term. And here's one that people don't talk about enough. Do you like how they act when you're around them? Do you like the version of yourself that shows up in this dynamic? Because if you find yourself becoming someone you don't recognize or don't respect when you're with them, that definitely tells you something important. Okay, now let's talk about the harder stuff, the red flags. These are the signs that even if you're attracted to someone, you should probably pump the brakes. The biggest one, do you feel worse about yourself when you are around them or after you interact with them? If someone's consistently making you feel small, stupid, unattractive, or too much, that's a problem, right? Early relationships should generally feel good, a little nervous, sure, but not bad. Another major one, are they inconsistent or hot and cold? One day they're super interested, the next they're distant. They pursue you hard and then pull back. This isn't mysterious or romantic. It's actually a sign that they're either not that into it or they're playing games. Either way, it's going to be exhausting and probably not worth your emotional energy. Here is one people often excuse. Do they respect your boundaries? If you say you need some space or you're not comfortable with something, do they honor that? Or do they push, guilt trip, or try to convince you otherwise? Boundary pushing is a serious red flag, even if it seems minor at first. So pay attention to how they talk about their exes too. If every single ex was crazy or the villain in how things ended, or the villain in their story and they take zero responsibility for how things ended, that's concerning. It suggests a lack of self-awareness and accountability that will likely show up in a relationship with you. Also, watch how they treat other people. Like when you're at a restaurant, how do they treat the waitress or the waiter? Customer service workers, people they're not trying to impress. If they're rude, dismissive, or condescending to others, they will eventually treat you that way too once that little honeymoon phase. What the hell is wrong with me? That honeymoon phase, what? That honeymoon phase wears off. And I should edit that crap out, these crazy words I'm coming up with tonight, but I'm not gonna. So, yeah, you're welcome. And anyways, this is a big one also. Do you find yourself making a lot of excuses for them? Oh, they're just busy. They've been through a lot. They're just not good at texting. If you're constantly rationalizing their behavior or explaining away things that hurt you, your gut is probably trying to tell you something. Okay, so green flags and red flags are relatively straightforward, but what about those yellow flags? You know, the things that aren't necessarily deal breakers, but they're not exactly great either. This is where it gets a little complicated. One common yellow flag is when someone's life is just really chaotic right now. Maybe they're in the middle of a career transition, dealing with family stuff, or just got out of a long relationship. They might be great, but the timing could be off. The question is this temporary chaos, or is chaos kind of like their default state? Another yellow flag is when you notice some lifestyle incompatibilities, like you're a homebody who likes quiet nights in, and there's someone who thrives on going out constantly. Now, neither is wrong, but it could create friction. The question becomes, is this something where you can both compromise and find a middle ground, or will it breed resentment? Sometimes the yellow flag is about future goals. Maybe they're not sure they want kids and you definitely do, or they want to live abroad and you're rooted in your hometown. These aren't necessarily immediate deal breakers, but they're things you need to have honest conversations about sooner rather than later. There's also the yellow flag of different communication styles. Maybe you're someone who needs to talk things through immediately, and they need time to process before discussing. This can work if both people are willing to meet in the middle, but it requires awareness and effort. Here's the thing about yellow flags. They're yellow because context matters. A yellow flag in combination with green flags might be manageable. A yellow flag combined with red flags or multiple yellow flags together starts looking more like a red light. Now, let's talk about something that trips people up all the time. How do you know if your uncertainty is your gut telling you something real or just anxiety and fear making you overthink everything? This is genuinely hard to sort out because both can feel similar in your body. Both can make you hesitant and uncertain, but there are some differences. Gut feelings, they tend to be quiet and persistent. They're that small, steady voice that keeps coming back no matter how much you try to logic it away. Gut feelings usually don't have a ton of emotional charge. They're more like a knowing. It's that sense of something's off here that you can't quite explain, but it won't go away. Anxiety, on the other hand, it tends to be loud and chaotic. It spirals. It sounds like, what if they hurt me? What if I'm not good enough? What if this fails like last time? Anxiety is usually rooted in fear and past experience, and it often gets worse when you're stressed or tired. One useful test is to ask yourself, am I worried about a pattern I'm seeing in them? Or am I worried about my own worthiness and fear of getting hurt? If it's the former, that might be your gut. If it's the latter, that's more likely anxiety. Another question, does this uncertainty feel specific to this person, or is this how you feel about dating in general right now? If you've felt uncertain about literally everyone you've been interested in lately, that might be more about your own readiness to date than about any specific person. You could try imagining a best case scenario. If this person turned out to be amazing and the relationship was healthy and wonderful, how would that feel? How would you feel? Excited or anxious and trapped? And if the best case scenario doesn't feel good, that's your gut talking. And we should talk about chemistry because this is where people get really confused. There's this idea that if the spark isn't immediate, it's not real, but that's not actually how it works for everyone. Some people experience instant, intense attraction. Other people are slow burn types where attraction builds gradually as they get to know someone. And neither is wrong or less valid. The problem is when you're trying to force something that genuinely isn't there, or when you're dismissing something real because it doesn't look like what you expected. Here's a useful distinction, okay? There's a difference between the spark isn't there yet, but I'm genuinely curious about this person and enjoying getting to know them. And I'm not attracted to them, but I think I should be because they're nice and we get along. The first one might be worth exploring. The second one is usually a recipe for disappointment. Physical attraction doesn't have to be overwhelming from day one, but there should be something, some interest, some pull. If you genuinely feel like nothing beyond platonic friendship and you're trying to will romantic feelings into existence, that's usually not going to end well. Timing is the other big factor. You can meet an amazing person at the wrong time in your life. Maybe you're not over an ex. Maybe you're about to move. Maybe you're going through something that takes all your bandwidth. Sometimes the answer isn't, is this person worth pursuing, but am I in a place where I can pursue anyone right now? And that's okay. You are allowed to acknowledge that someone's great, but timing isn't right. You are allowed to prioritize your own healing or goals. You don't have to force something just because it looks good on paper. All right, so let's get practical. If you're trying to figure out whether someone's worth pursuing, here are some questions to sit with. Do I feel energized or drained after spending time with them? Healthy connections, even new uncertain ones, should generally leave you feeling more alive, not depleted. Also, am I showing up authentically or am I performing? If you can't be yourself this early on, when you're still on your best behavior, that's not a great sign for the long haul. Are my doubts about them or about me? Really examine this. If your uncertainty is rooted in your own insecurities or past trauma, that's something you might need to work on separately from this relationship question. Okay, another question. What would I tell my best friend if they described this situation to me? Sometimes we give better advice to others than we give ourselves. So try to get that outside perspective on your own situation. Okay? And am I pursuing this because I genuinely want to or because I feel like I should? Maybe they're exactly the type of person you think you should date, or your friends love them, or you're tired of being single, but those aren't good enough reasons on their own. Okay, and if nothing changed and this person stayed exactly as they are right now, would I still want this? Don't date potential. Don't date the version of them you hope they will become. Are you interested in who they actually are today? And the last question, what's my hesitation actually about? Try to name it specifically. Is it about them, about timing, about your own fear? The more specific you can be, the more clearly you can evaluate whether it's something workable or a genuine incompatibility. So, here's my philosophy on this. If you're genuinely unsure, it's okay to give it a little time, you know? And the key is to give it time actively, not passively. And what I mean is use that time to actually get to know them better. Go on different kinds of dates. See how they handle conflict or stress. Meet their friends. Observe how they treat people. Have deeper conversations. And pay attention to whether your feelings are growing or staying flat. Are you becoming more interested and excited, or are you the same level of meh that you were at the beginning? Are you learning things about them that make you like them more, or are you discovering deal breakers? So set a mental timeline for yourself, not to pressure yourself, but just to avoid the trap of indefinite uncertainty. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's 3 dates, whatever feels right, but give yourself a check-in point where you evaluate honestly, am I feeling more clear about this, or am I still making excuses for why I'm not sure? And here's the thing. It's okay if the answer becomes clear and it's a no. It's actually better to recognize that sooner than to string someone along while you figure out what you want. Kindness isn't just saying yes or staying in something you're unsure about. Sometimes kindness is being honest about where you're at. If you have given it genuine time and effort and you're still feeling uncertain in a way that feels heavy or forced, that's usually your answer. If you keep hoping they'll change or waiting for the moment when things click, that's often a sign to move on. Again, don't date potential. You should be interested in who they are now, not who you hope they might become. And here's what I've learned. Sometimes when we are unsure about someone, we are actually sure. We just don't want to accept it because they didn't do anything obviously wrong. But you don't need a dramatic reason to not pursue something. This doesn't feel right to me or feel right for me is enough. So, to make that decision, because you can think about it forever, but at some point you have to choose a direction. Check in with your body. When you think about pursuing this person, how does your body feel? Do you feel light and open or tight and heavy? Do you lean forward or pull back? And look at the balance of your feelings. Are you feeling more excited or more anxious, more curious or more dreadful? And consider your life context. Do you have the bandwidth for a relationship right now? Are you in a place where you can show up fully? If not, it might not be fair to either of you to start something. And lastly, think about what you actually want from a relationship, not what you think you should want, but what you actually need to feel happy and fulfilled. Does this person and this dynamic align with that? And finally, remember that not making a decision is also a decision. If you find yourself perpetually in this uncertain space, unable to move forward or let go, that itself is information. It might mean the answer is no, but you're not ready to accept it yet. So trust yourself. I know that's easier said than done, especially if you've made choices in the past that didn't work out, but you know yourself better than anyone else does. You know what you need to do and what you need, what you can handle and what doesn't feel right. It's okay to take time to figure things out. It's okay to be unsure for a little while. The right relationship, or at least a relationship worth pursuing, shouldn't feel like you're constantly trying to talk yourself into it, okay? You deserve someone you're genuinely excited about, not fireworks every second, excited necessarily, but that deeper excitement that comes from connecting with someone and thinking, yeah, I want more of this. Don't settle for less because you think you should, or because you're afraid of being alone, or because they're nice and you don't want to hurt them. Be honest with yourself, be honest with them, and trust that the right thing has a way of feeling right, even when it's complicated. And the wrong thing will usually keep feeling off no matter how much you try to rationalize it. All right, so that's it for now. I hope this helps if you're in that uncertain space with someone. Remember, you're not overthinking it. You're trying to make a good choice for yourself, and that takes thought. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend who might need it. And if you want to share your own experiences navigating this kind of uncertainty, I would love to hear from you. And yeah, you guys know what to do. Leave a comment or an email. The email is in the description. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow. And remember, keep your energy grounded, your mind open, and your curiosity alive.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.